You know I always am, dude. Now then, let's get this show on the road.
Kisats Furusrator!
Oh, Baba, buddy. You ate my french fries while I was in the bathroom, didn't you? Oh, okay, so you did eat my french fries. Good! I'm going to teach you what happens when you eat someone else's food, so be ready, you freeloader.
Kisats!
Hello everybody, I'm Zero and welcome back to Zero Reviews. Today I'm going to be doing recommends on an anime series that is quite peculiar and that many have said has saved anime. That's right, I'm talking about the one, the only, One Punch Man. So One Punch Man is one of those surprising cases where I thought I wouldn't be interested in it, but it turns out I got super invested. Like seriously, one day this guy starts telling everyone at our college how One Punch Man is getting an anime, and I had to ask what the hell One Punch Man was. He responded in the obvious answer, a guy who trained for 3 years and now kills everything in one punch. And that's all he left it at, and I was seriously wondering how the hell that would even work. It baffled me, and it still baffles others to this day. So, what's the point of a series if this dude can, just one-shot everything? Sounds like it would get pretty boring, wouldn't it? Yet, here I am, doing a recommends for One Punch Man, so it has to be good, right? Well, here's the thing, before getting into the summary, it likes to make fun of itself and likes to have a fun time. After going through 21 years of my life, I've seen many tropes, many cliches, many things. Of course, only a few select shows or movies I've seen have done something interesting with those tropes and cliches. One Punch Man breaks the norm, however, as the show recognizes tropes and cliches, still uses them, and still manages to be a breath of fresh air. Now you're still raising eyebrows, I can see, because you're wondering how I can like a series with no tension whatsoever. 'Cause let's be honest, there is no conflict, there is no cheering for the hero. There is no speeches about never giving up, because our main character can throw one punch and it's over. Of course, that's not the only absurd thing about the series. Its origins are pretty absurd too, since in 2009, you'd think that this wouldn't even be possible. Basically, One Punch Man started off as a poorly drawn webcomic in 2009 by the webcomic artist known as One. Later in 2012, due to the immense popularity of the webcomic, it was given an actual manga release. It was the same story, just more high-quality illustrations. After the manga sold tons and tons of copies, Studio Madhouse stepped in to animate One Punch Man. It's honestly a testament to the fact that any artist can make it big one day. They just have to keep going and going. Because let's be honest, did anyone really think that this would turn into this? And then turn it into this. So our story begins with Saitama, who was a laid-off businessman. Eventually, after saving a kid from a monster, he realizes that he should become a hero. So he trains for 3 years to become a superhero. Of course, he trains so hard that he kills everything in one punch. Of course, though, he's not too happy about that at all. The setting is pretty bare bones. You've got all these different alphabetically named cities, monsters attacking them, and as such a government agency categorizes different heroes into different ranks in order to deal with them. Of course, these ranks are actually what give Saitama his obstacles, because throwing any traditional bad guy at him would not work out well whatsoever. We care about Saitama because of the world that doesn't treat him fairly. Even though he's a hero, because he isn't a registered hero when the series starts, people don't know about him whatsoever. Even when he's registered, he's treated with such malice and distaste that any normal person in his shoes would just quit. But that's the fun thing about Saitama when I'll get to talking about the characters. He just doesn't care. Of course though, sometimes in this series you're rooting for the villains that show up during the course of it, because you want to see them be able to challenge Saitama so that he can feel fulfillment. Because another major part of this story is Saitama feeling bored now that he's the strongest man alive, and really, it would get boring. Having all that power, having immunity to pretty much all attacks, being fast and skilled enough to dodge everything. I know people make God Mode original characters all the time, but it would get boring. Because when you can win all of your fights so easily, nothing's different. Nothing's a challenge. It's all just the same. Now you're probably wondering, why am I not talking about the main story and just rambling? Because as far as One Punch Man is concerned, there is no major overarching narrative in this anime. I believe there might be one in the manga and the original webcomic, but here in this 12-episode anime, we have arcs. Each arc takes up a couple of episodes and of course has its own obstacles and villains to throw at Saitama. Because of this, and because there are only 12 episodes, it's a relatively simple anime to get into. There's no prior knowledge that must be needed, there are no over-convoluted story points that bog it down, it's very straightforward. Now on to characters. As I was saying from the plot synopsis that I just rambled in, Saitama is a guy who is doing the hero business for fun. Hell, that's his catchphrase during the first few episodes. He took up the mantle of the hero because he wanted to. And like I said, he doesn't care about what others think for the most part. Yes, he wants people to respect what he does, but he doesn't care if they're lambasting him for being a fraud and so on. He doesn't do this job for the popularity, or the fans like other heroes do. And while he does want some praise for his actions, he doesn't let that consume him like other heroes. What I love about him is that he still takes the title of being a hero seriously. He's an enjoyable guy, and while he's not too relatable for some people, I liked him. Also, it was just funny to see his uncaring nature towards anything and everything around him. And I mean, of course, he wouldn't care about danger anymore. Just look at what he can do. Of course, if you want a more traditional hero, then Genos has you covered. Genos is a cyborg with a dark history and a desire to get revenge on another cyborg, as the mysterious cyborg he wants revenge on was the one who killed his family. Despite being a highly skilled and dangerous fighter, he's constantly critical of himself and his abilities. He has the desire to improve because despite being very powerful, he is still not powerful enough. And after witnessing Saitama's power firsthand, he pretty much begs our main protagonist to take him on as an apprentice. Of course, this is also so that he can learn the secret of Saitama's immense power, but even though this is his ulterior motive, he still has a great deal of respect for Saitama. Genos in any other story would be our main character. He's kind, caring, has a strong sense of justice. He is extremely powerful but is constantly pitted against beings that have powers that rank them slightly higher than him in order to give him a challenge. Of course, they are not the only characters in this series worth talking about. When you're dealing with a superhero series that has an organization full of heroes, you need some characters to fill up the slots. And this series manages to bring out a wide and diverse set of heroes even if some of them aren't seen for more than maybe a minute or two. You've got characters on the lowest end like Moomin Rider, a hero for the common man, just a regular guy who rides a bicycle because he doesn't have a motorcycle license. And no, I am not completely biased on him because he is a parody of Kamen Rider. He has a strong sense of justice, and is essentially what I would like to call the reverse Yamcha. You see, the Yamcha of the series term stems from Dragon Ball Z, where you have a character who tries to help but gets beat down rather quickly. Moomin Rider falls into that category, but just like Saitama, he doesn't care. He knows he's the Yamcha and accepts that he can't do anything, but will keep pressing on. He'll keep fighting even though it's hopeless, and that's what makes me enjoy him greatly as a side character. Moving much higher into the scale, you have people like Metal Knight, the Tony Stark of One Punch Man, who sits back and allows robots that he controls remotely to do the work for him. You've got Atomic Samurai, who's pretty self-explanatory as he is a sword wielder, but an exceptionally powerful one at that. And then there are others like Tatsumaki, who is a very powerful sidekick that can just chuck buildings at large objects like it's nothing. Even the villains have some level of detail to them, even if they only stick around for a short amount of time. Of course though, let's go on to presentation and music, and let me tell you, from an animation perspective, One Punch Man is a very visually appealing series. Other reviewers expand upon what I am about to say, but simply put, One Punch Man has amazing visuals, fight scenes, and choreography, and if what I heard was correct, it had a fairly standard budget for what Studio Madhouse normally does. So if that is true, then that just makes this anime very impressive. Of course though, there are some scenes that you've seen already that seem pretty simplistic. Well, that's because it's referencing the original art style that One used back in the day. It's that drastic contrast that makes the amazing visuals all the more noticeable. Now, the soundtrack, titled One Track Man, has a very good feeling of inspiration behind it. Hell, it's what I'm listening to for the most part when I write nowadays. The fast-paced soundtrack pieces really make you want to punch something in the face as if you were Saitama, while the slower-paced tracks help you push through those tough times, those times where a block's in your mind and you can't get any good ideas. Of course though, the music fits every single situation it accompanies, and just the sound design in general was great. The opening that accompanies every single episode of One Punch Man, The Hero by Jam Project, is a great way for you to get pumped up. Like seriously, the song is very hype as hell, and the visuals. Oh man, the visuals. They just get you pumped up for the episode you're about to watch. Now then, of course I'm going to recommend One Punch Man to you all. However, during the process of making this recommends, an interesting development showed up. Now, while One Punch Man is available for streaming on Viz, Hulu, and Daisuke.net, Anime Expo recently just passed us. And with Anime Expo, not only did Toonami decide to unveil The Intruder 3, which has me in shock right now, they decided to also reveal that the English dubbed One Punch Man is coming their way on July 16th. So if you don't feel like reading subtitles, then go check it out on Toonami when it premieres. If you do, then feel free to check out the whole series on the streaming sites I just mentioned. It's been a while since I've enjoyed an anime as great as One Punch Man is. Although, I have to admit, Zero Reviews has been lacking a lot of anime in terms of content. I need to change that. Anyway, I'm Zero, this was Zero Reviews, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.
のあいつが手縫いを塗り替えたカンカンカンと響いたあいつの足音形勢は深くて今してどんでは不安でキキキッと睨んだ花街はあでやかに重ねた手のひらに見えた覚悟という名の
The real fun starts now.